Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grid Live Pre-Race. A special welcome to Colin, Mark, and D-Shell, our wonderful Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support. And to our listeners on the Ultimate Sports Radio Network, USRN. With me today, have Adam Lemrys, our supercar. That's her Daniel Zuri from Racers, the girls behind the helmet, Joe Samniego, and Josh Birch. We have NASCAR, MotoGP, and the Formula One Belgian Grand Prix to discuss today. But first, we're going to start off with Joe, Daniel, and Josh talking about the W Series race in the wet.
A little bit of a wet race. And of course, when it comes to Spa, weather there, such a huge track, 4 miles around. So definitely weather was something where challenging conditions for everybody. And the big thing we saw with this race, an exciting battle for the lead. Emma Kimmelinian coming up, taking the lead from Jamie Chadwick towards the closing stages of the race as the track seemed to be changing conditions. We even saw a little bit of sun towards the end of the race. And of course, with her again, her first win of the year, we saw Marta Garcia, first podium of the year, third place, Alice Powell, fourth. Starting with you, Daniel, I know Emma, Marta Garcia, quiet most of the season. A lot of people expect them to be up towards the front. Is this what we really expected to see? And do you think we could see this in the next few races?
Oh yeah, I would say that yes, Emma and Marta were definitely expected to be further up the order in the opening races of the season. But now finally they made it back to where they belong. And honestly, I'm so happy for Emma. She really did a great race. That pass around the outside of turn 12 on Jamie was really something else. That was for me the pass of the year so far. And we know that Emma Kimmelinen and especially Scandinavian drivers are good in these conditions. Emma always really enjoyed racing in the wet and in low grip conditions. So it's not like a big surprise to see her doing well especially in Spa, which she always said she was one of her favorite track. Yesterday, Jamie was really on another planet, both in free practice and in the remaining minutes of the qualifying after the red flag. So I would say that probably I didn't expect Emma to be that much faster than Jamie. But of course, conditions were very different. And also, I think that it was a little bit more of a progressive race, meaning that it started with the rain, but then it dried up towards the end, and there were not really showers during the race, which is always what makes it harder, in my opinion, for the drivers, because of course the conditions, especially in Spa, this is something that happens a lot here on this circuit. The conditions might be different from one corner to the next, and then when you have the dry conditions in one place and then the rain in the other, it makes a lot harder for everyone to manage the races. While now it was a little bit more straightforward. I think it wasn't easy at all, because of course we started on a very wet track, but then it dried up pretty progressively, in my opinion, from what we could see, at least from the images. So I would say that this probably, if you agree with me, helped a little bit more Emma in her management of the race.
Absolutely, and I think it gives a big confidence boost for the rest of the season. We've just passed half distance now. Not exactly the greatest start for Emma Kimmelinen to the second season of W Series, of course, the 2021 campaign. We were hyping her up as well, even coming into the season, and everyone was picking Kimmelinen as their picks to win. Even back in Austria, when it looked like Jamie Chadwick wasn't having a great start to the season. But it was Alice Powell who took the mantle in the first race at Styria, and then a week later, Jamie really did fight back. So Kimmelinen has just sort of been drifting around the midfield. Today was the perfect opportunity for her to come up. I was quite surprised the race happened. To be fair, I thought after what happened in the Formula One, we weren't going to have it. It kept getting delayed over hours. But it did happen. We spent the half of it under the safety car, but the half of the race we got was fantastic. I completely agree with you there, Daniel, because What a fantastic move. I've never seen a move around the outside in the wet at Fania than in any category. Definitely the move of the season. The skill and the grip level, the determination, it all rolls into one. Truly woman and machine there working together perfectly. And Jamie, yes, she had tyre problems as well. That's why she dropped further back as well in the race because she was in the front. She was the guinea pig for everybody else. She was generating the spray and had clear visibility, but the front tyres were overheating a lot. She was locking up a lot. She was understeering the car. She nearly lost it at Rouge, and that really allowed Emma Kymäläinen to sort of have that reference point. As soon as she dealt with Alice, she spent a couple of laps just sitting behind Jamie, monitoring where the track conditions were at their best and their worst, and really timed it perfectly. So a great race from Emma Kymäläinen. Even Ted Kravitz down in the pen called her the Flying Finn. Marta Garcia had a tricky qualifying session as well. Everyone had a tricky one because they were all disrupted with that red flag. But a great race from Marta Garcia, once again proving why she was so popular in the first series and why she deserves a seat in W Series once again. Definitely big days for there as well. Disappointing further down the field for a few of the drivers we expect to be higher up, but this is what we get at a wet race. It switches them around a little bit more. Different talents come to the surface. Some drivers are great in the dry, some are better in the wet conditions as well, and that's what we've had today. A completely mixed up grid as well, and the two stars, definitely Emma Kymäläinen and Marta Garcia.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, of course, Alice, as you mentioned, I think she was really not happy with her car today. It can happen, she's still very much in the fight. And also, Nerea Marti was not really happy with their car today. But of course, one driver that deserves massive props today, I think, is Caitlin Wood. Only her second race in W Series after the return at Hungaroring. At Hungaroring, we spoke with Caitlin, and she said that she had technical issues throughout the whole weekend. So basically, that was not really what she could do in that car. And finally, she had another weekend to prove it, and she was fast from free practice, and then in qualifying she was awesome. And then for the top five for Caitlin, I was just texting her, and I'm so happy for Caitlin because that was I think it was the best result for a reserve driver ever in W Series.
Absolutely. I was saying the commentary with Megan as well. When the race went green as well, side by side with a teammate. Where were they? They were side by side all the way through Malmedy, down through Ravage, Speaker's Corner, side by side through Puong as well. A corner that, if you get wrong, spits you off side by side through Fania into Stavolo again. Some fantastic side by side. So definitely a big improvement there from Caitlin Wood. I agree with you. She's definitely been sort of baptized into the W Series and the way they run now after a tricky weekend, as you said, in Hungary all those weeks ago. God, it goes like a flash, doesn't it? Unbelievable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And also, let me just say how great of a race both Fabian Volvend and Abby Eaton had today after that horrific crash yesterday, and also props to the W Series mechanics that managed to scrap together the cars back. They had an amazing race. Fabian, I know that she was fast in Spa. She had raced here in the Ferrari Challenge before. She really liked the track, and she had an amazing race coming from the back. And also Abby Eaton getting that final point on the final lap. A little bit disappointed for Sabre Cook that also she was really that close to get her first point this year. But yeah, I think both Fabian and Abby deserves a massive congratulations for these points today.
Yeah, Abby, especially after going through that wreck, definitely that was something. And of course, 16 drivers competed today. Because of that vicious crash, we had 2 drivers that did not race today. Thankfully, all the drivers from that wreck were okay and able to essentially walk away from the crash. Now, the change in conditions, as you all mentioned, that's where we saw tire management, some coming towards the front, some falling towards the back. Definitely for Emma, Marta, they seemed to have it where they were coming towards the front. We talked about how some drivers, they were really looking forward to this weekend, especially the high speeds, the corners. They're very familiar with this track. But of course, the race definitely not in dry conditions, wet conditions. Just really changed up everything. And of course, qualifying the way that was interrupted yesterday, I think really messed up a lot of people, especially with their fast lap. How different would the race have been had we seen dry conditions?
If the race was dry, I will just point out one name, Chadwick. We all know she would have won it. She's the best at adapting to a Formula circuit of Formula One standards as well. Throwing Alice Powell, they seem to have a great setup as well. I would even, I know playing devil's advocate, but me and Megan were talking before the session started and said if it was a normal race weekend, I'd be looking out for Jess Hawkins. She's the Aston Martin development driver. She's done sim laps here at the circuit as well in the Aston Martin simulator. She's done more laps here in GT cars. She knows the track really, really well. I know a lot of the drivers do, but my pick would have been Jess Hawkins. I went for Jamie Chadwick because she was the safe bet, and it was close. But unfortunately, the rain came out, and as we're seeing even now in the in the Formula 3 race as well, where one of the cars has spun, Spa bites in the wet, and that's what we've seen, and that's going to cause a safety car. Spa bites hard in wet conditions, so if in the wet strategy as well, as I said earlier, the better drivers come out in these conditions. But it's such a heartbreak if you pull out the curtains and think, oh no, it's raining. It's definitely affected Chadwick. It's definitely affected Alice Powell, unfortunately. I thought Chadwick would have the worst weekend in wet weather because she can never seem to get it quite right. But no, it was Alice Powell. She dropped back into 4th place as well. She's lost crucial points in the title fight to Jamie Chadwick as well. But it's a situation where, with the adapting at times as well, I was quite surprised, especially when the sun came through. If we had the race delayed for another half hour and then gone to a full proper start, I'm convinced by the end somebody would have bolted on the slicks and had to go on that just to see how far he can get up. A bit like how Lando Norris did in practice through this morning, because he could get out there. And of course, with Formula One cars, it's more power. So of course he was sliding around with a lower spec Formula 3 car. It's just about drivable. As even we saw during the red flag period for F1, the go-karts are going around on slick tires until they put it in the gravel. But still, I've raced go-karts with slick tires in the rain. It is possible to control it. It is possible to get it around. So I reckon we were denied a charge through the field. And I reckon it would have been Volverend because she was adapting best to the conditions throughout the race. We saw her make a couple of great moves towards the end.
Yes, I would totally agree with you, Josh. On a dry track, I think I will totally agree with you. Jamie Chadwick proved that she had the better pace yesterday. As you said, also Fabienne was if she had more laps towards the end, I'm pretty sure that she would have also passed both Jess Hawkins and Caitlin Wood and finished in the top 5. Also, probably Nerea Marti would have been pretty higher up the order. And I think and pretty much, of course, Sarah Moore and Belen Garcia, but they had pretty much their cars rebuilt from zero yesterday or tonight. So it was always been difficult to know what their cars could do in the drive after the full rebuild. But yes, I'll totally agree with you on what you said. Also on Jess Hawkins, that I would say that she has done a great step forward since she has been announced as a development driver of the Aston Martin F1 team. I think she spent a lot of hours at the simulator, and also she's taking part of in a lot of programs with them. And she's made a great step forward. So yes, pretty much agree with you.
I saw her at Snetterton just after she was announced for the British Touring Car Championship, and she did something that I didn't spot any other driver do. She walked the track. I got there Saturday morning at about 7 a.m. and I looked out, and there she was walking the track. How she's taken that F1 mentality and putting it into her one-off appearance in the touring cars, and she is so lovely to speak to as well. When I was lining up before I had my jab up the nose for COVID testing, stopped to have a quick chat and said, "I saw you walking the track," and he said, "Yeah, just something I've picked up from Formula One. Best way I thought to get a relationship with my engineers." And I thought that's brilliant. And I'll tell you one thing as well. If we're talking about mixed conditions, it's raining hard again at Spa, and so hard they've had to deploy the safety car because they might have to, they've got to get one of the cars out of the pit lane, but it's slippery almost again, and they were almost to dry running. So it swings and roundabouts for the weather at Spa.
Definitely we'll be talking a lot more about weather and Spa in this program. And of course, as we've been talking a lot about Jamie Chadwick, 3 races left: Sanderfoot, Circuits of America in the United States, and Mexico City. Those are the remaining tracks. The way Jamie Chadwick's running, is there any potential track, especially starting with you, Daniel, that you see Jamie Chadwick not being a favorite to win, especially if we have dry conditions throughout?
That's a great question. I think Jamie has not raced in any of the remaining 3 circuits on the calendar. I think Beiske has, of course, driven on the Zandvoort track that will be on next weekend. But I'm not sure about the others. I'll have to check. Of course, Zandvoort, after it's been rebuilt in the past couple of years. Not many races going on there until this year, of course. But not sure. It's very open. We see one driver like Jamie being like 1 second clear of the competition one day, and the day after she's 3 seconds slower than Emma. So it's never been as open as this. Really difficult to predict. I'm pretty sure that Jamie has not driven on any of the remaining three circuits. So that will make it a little bit more difficult for her. Probably Zandvoort, of course, if Beiske will be in shape, because of course today she was back in the paddock after being discharged from the hospital tonight. She had a couple of interviews with the W Series team, and I know that she said that she's fine, of course, but she was a little bit in pain. Of course, she was sore, and I know that she couldn't wait to get back home and have some rest and be fully ready for next weekend. If she's in shape, I think she might be back in contention for the victory. But of course, as we see also Marta Garcia, maybe she's back in momentum. If she can carry that momentum, she can be back on the podium also in the next weekend. And then we have a long wait for the 2 North American rounds. So I think everything can still change after next weekend's Dutch Grand Prix.
Bear with me here, because I've just been thinking as well, and I've come up with quite an interesting little thing that I could say here. I've been thinking back to this season as well. Chadwick did well in Austria. It's a high elevation circuit. She didn't do so well at Silverstone. It's a flat circuit. She did quite well in Hungary, elevation circuit. She did quite well as well here today at Spa, high elevation change as well. So the races coming up, we've got Zandvoort, which has got so much elevation change, it feels like you're on a roller coaster, and Kota as well, with the high turn 1 and the drop down through the Mickey Mouse section as well. The only flat circuit we've got left on the calendar is Mexico, and I've been thinking back even to season 1. Jamie never did well at tracks when the elevation was flat. Never did well back at Assen either in the second race. She never did well either at Zolder. If I think she lost that one out, didn't she? And I think when the elevation circuit is flat, Jamie struggles, and I think it's because she likes the car with a higher rev limit with the change of the gears, and hits the rev limiter more down the straights. I mean, if you remember at Silverstone, we were stood there thinking, like, why is she so slow down the straights? Why is she so far off the pace? She was 6 or 7 seconds separated from Power Involver, and from that one. So I think she's going to struggle a lot at Mexico. It's a high elevation. It's a high altitude circuit. Was it 2,000 meters above sea level? On a circuit that's going to be very, very hot as well. So there's not going to be much oxygen coming into the engine. And we already see that she struggles. So I think Mexico, Jamie's going to have a lot of problems there. And if that happens, I'm literally going to resign from a commentator and employ David Coulthard as my second in command and have the racing gods with crystal balls in front of us, because I think I would have predicted the future a little bit more.
Good point there. Also, she did the Formula Regional European Championship in 2020 last year, and I followed her throughout all the season. And she told me at the end of the year that her favorite two circuits that she visited in 2020 were Mugello and Imola, as well as you said, two circuits that have elevation changes. So that might be a point. I have never thought about this, but yes, you could have a point there.
It just dawned on me, because it's the only explanation for Silverstone, and then for the rest of the seasons as well back in season 1.
It's just amazing. Definitely, we want to hear from everyone in the chat room. Do you believe Jamie Chadwick just has something about tracks with elevation changes where she's just far superior than the competition? Because it seems if she's out towards the front, she is just hard to beat. But definitely, still 3 races left in the championship. Only takes one bad race, and next you know, the entire championship picture could be turned upside down. Now, before we go into Formula One, of course, we are at Spa-Francorchamps for this weekend's W Series race and Formula One. And of course, the biggest corner everyone's talked about, Eau Rouge and Raidillon. This year, we've seen already some big crashes there from the total 24 hours of Spa. We saw the horrific crash in the W Series qualifying yesterday. And of course, we all know, as drivers have been going to Raidillon, paying their respects, laying down flowers for Antoine Hubert, who in 2019 passed away after a tragic accident there. And of course, this morning, Lando Norris qualifying crash. This was a subject we were going to be talking about before this weekend because of all the incidents we have seen. There's not a whole lot of runoff room with this corner. Realistically, there was a brand new track with a corner very similar to recreate Eau Rouge Raidillon. We'll have loads of runoff room. When it comes to the crash, especially Friday, we saw on social media people talk about calling for changes or improvement. Cars are going faster. Next year, the Formula One cars, ground effect downforce, so that's going to be really critical not to bottom out and all of a sudden lose that downforce. Question for everyone, starting with you, Daniel. What can be done about Eau Rouge and Raidillon for safety, or should it be reconfigured?
That's a good question. Last time I was in Spa, I went for a walk over there where the people stands behind the barriers, and there is not much room for to make the escape road bigger, because there's a mountain, there's a house. It's not easy. Of course, this is a very old racetrack. Yesterday, the accident was frightening, was really scary. We had no news from the cities and from anyone for a long time. And of course, this is not new for Spa. We've seen this also in the 24-hour race less than a month ago, where Jack Aitken got injured. You mentioned the Formula 2 accident in 2019, and the list goes on. So it is pretty much obvious that something has to be done in that section. The corner, I would say that if you ask any racing driver in the world if they want to change the layout of the corner, they would all say no, because that is really one of the most iconic corners in the world that everyone loves, and etc. But this is my personal opinion. Well, of course, the Spa-Francorchamps circuit had a project last year, and from what I know and from what I understand, they will be doing something, and there was already a project by the track administration for 2022 to try to move the barrier a little bit behind and to take some meters off of the mountain there. It's a very expensive project, but it is something that is already planned to do for next year. The big problem now is that the barrier makes the car bounce back on the racing line once they go off. So that is something that must be redesigned. And from what I understand, also the safer barriers that are pretty popular in the US will be employed there with a combination of the tire barrier. But my personal opinion is that when there was gravel, for example, in the 90s, cars were different, of course, but the drivers had a little bit more respect for the corner, and it was not easy to go flat there. Now it's easy. Now in not in the wet, but in dry conditions, it's easy. For example, in 1999, when Jacques Villeneuve crashed there because he tried to do it flat. He looked like not a smart driver when he did so, because everyone was not taking it flat. So I think that with the gravel and with the barrier redesigned, probably one of the target must be to make the drivers lift rather than taking it flat as easy as it is today.
Well, very coincidentally, talking about this, we've just had an accident at the restart of the Formula 3 race. 2 cars spinning off at the top of the hill at Raidillon and Eau Rouge, and 2 other cars. So we've got 2 cars spinning, and then Cordell and Williams in the Campos and Genza just sort of aquaplane off into each other. So that's another accident at Eau Rouge. It's literally just happened. You could see it in this corner of the screen when Daniel was talking, and I found it completely ridiculous that we're talking now about Eau Rouge and how it needs to be changed. And under the restart as well, they've just had a safety car for a car stuck at pit entrance. They went it back to green, and then immediately, you always hold your breath in these conditions under Spa. 2 cars fly off the road. And from what I've looked, it's not like they've actually spun off due to the conditions. They've spun off because they've hit the bump. Again, the same bump that caught up the W Series drivers yesterday, the same bump that caught up Lando Norris earlier on as well. They hit that bump, and in wet conditions, the wooden plank under the car just becomes like a, what do they call, a rowing oar, just on the boats, rowers, just absolutely becomes like a rudder. There you go. Comes like a rudder, just obviously spins round. So very lucky that we haven't had what we had yesterday, or even in the Formula 2 race a couple of years ago. Both the drivers are out of the car. They are okay, but a very high-speed, scary accident. One of them's got into the barrier down at the exit of the support pit lane at Raidillon, but both look out of the car straight away. And luckily, it happened again, whereas the car was bounced back into the track, but they're both out okay. But honestly, that's the 3rd incident at Eau Rouge this weekend in a Formula car. I'll come to my bit again later on. That's the bit of breaking news. But guys, carry on with your conversation about it. I think Adam's next. Again, horrible accidents, and I'll voice my opinion on it later. But both okay, but more drama here at Raidillon and Eau Rouge.
We take a look at the safer barriers that they have here in the United States at a lot of oval tracks, and I believe that if they had the safer barrier at Eau Rouge and Raidillon, I believe it would help a whole lot. Josh, you just talked about another accident there. You just said a 3rd accident this weekend. We saw what happened in the W Series qualifying yesterday. We saw what happened with Lando Norris in F1 Q3. For me, something needs to be done. We saw what happened at the 24 Hours of Spa. We saw what happened at the F2 race in 2019. Something, for me, I would have a safer barrier, because we take a look at some of these accidents, in NASCAR, and I believe the safer barrier has saved a lot of lives. So I would like to see the safer barrier at Eau Rouge and Raidillon in the future, and I believe it would help a whole lot, because I believe if you had an accident there, maybe it wouldn't be as serious as some of these accidents we've seen already this weekend?
I don't really have much to add, but I will say that we should always prioritize driver safety first. And if we're not doing everything we can to protect those competitors on the racetrack, then we're doing it wrong. I think that with safety, we can't get too comfortable ever thinking we've done enough. In my opinion, we've never done enough. We can always do more to protect the drivers and also the competitors in the stands as well. I know in the NASCAR races, it's ironic where Daytona this weekend, because a few summers ago during this exact same race, we saw Austin Dillon go flying into the catch fence, and luckily we didn't have any fans suffer serious injuries from that. But I believe when Kyle Larson went into the catch fence, I believe it was his first Xfinity race there, and I believe it was the mid 2010s. His engine got caught into the fence or whatever, and some debris from his car went into the grandstand. I believe a tire went flying into the grandstand. So it's not just the on track stuff. It's the fans as well that you need to protect. So in general, I think that Spa needs to look at some potential changes to Rouge and Radion to make sure we're doing the best to protect the competitors out there. Because when it comes to safety and racing, you can never be satisfied.
The race has ended behind the safety car as well because the rain's picked up in the Formula 3 as well, and it was right not to go on. Hazel Southwell said as well, can we not stop this race before they go through a rouge and hit one of the trucks that's on the side of the track? That's just been left there as well from a recovery earlier on in the day. It seems to me that track safety has stepped off a lot in recent years. Let's just for a quick second as well, stepping away from the Eau Rouge accident, as you said earlier on, not enough is being done to protect the marshals. Not enough is being done to protect the drivers or even the fans as well. Have we learnt nothing from the accident in Italy in 2000 with Paolo Ghislamberti losing his life because a tyre hit him? We've not learned nothing from 2001 as well in Australia, 2013 in Canada, 2014 Japan. Going forward as well, numerous races, 2013 Le Mans as well, all the way through. I am sick and tired of having to stand here in this commentary box to thousands of people who listen in to all our shows that we broadcast because we're a love of motorsport. I am tired of having to say, I'm terribly sorry, but as a result of the accident and so, the driver has sadly lost their life. I am tired of it. Everybody is. One thing that really got to me today, and I voiced my opinion over the airwaves as well, and I'm doing it here, I was sick to my stomach that the FIA and especially Michael Masi started that session, that third qualifying. Now, admittedly, the rain did come down incredibly quickly. We cut to one shot, it was okay. Then the next shot, it was literally like you just turned the shower on and stood underneath it. But there was time enough to stop the session. Lando Norris and, crucially, Sebastian Vettel, who was head of the Grand Prix Drivers Association as well. He's got a big, big swing in what happens in Formula One safety. They were on the radio saying, this needs to be a red flag. This is too dangerous. We're aquaplaning at slow speeds. It wasn't red flagged until Lando Norris crashed. Michael Masi, I'm sorry, I've tried to defend you over the years. Either resign or literally come out with a public apology. The track is dangerous. Once is a coincidence. Once is just a coincidence. The second, how does it go? One time is a fluke. 2 crashes, it's a coincidence. 3 is a problem. I'm counting in my hands in the past 18, 19 months, we've had about 5 or 6 big crashes at Eau Rouge. It needs to be moved backwards. I know we've got the house there, the grandstand, but what about what we did in the 90s when Eau Rouge was reprofiled for 2007? You've got the exit of the support pit lane there as well. Move it. Move it all. Move the pit lane exit and build another little runoff for it closer into the end of the dead woodland area, the paddock area. Put another exit road there. Barrier that off. And then also move Eau Rouge just a couple of meters forward, redo the track paintings, remove that grass runoff that's on the inside that nobody ever cares about, put that tarmac there, and then you've got more room to have the barriers. There's a little bit of spectator room there as well. So move the grandstand higher up and further back if you can, and move away the little bit of the track that keeps pushing the cars in. We saw it earlier on with Formula 3 just a couple of minutes ago. The inside barrier that pokes out the top of the hill, that's what the drivers hit, and that's what bounces them back out. Happened yesterday in the W Series, happened with Lando Norris, and it's happened today with Williams as well in the Formula 3 race. So move that back. Get the safer barrier in as well. put gravel traps down as well. We've had them there before. They do slow the drivers. If Spa want MotoGP back, you're going to have gravel traps because it's in the regulations. Stop wasting time until 2024 and get it there now. Put the gravel there, dig it down, and also try something to wrap the car around and absorb the energy like the safer barrier does, but we need something to physically sort of grab hold of that car and disrupt the energy. I said it earlier on yesterday as well when we came on for the W Series, and it's been mentioned in this chat here as well between us. The Halo yesterday has saved a lot of lives. One of the drivers had a wheel come into their helmet. If it wasn't for the Halo, it would have hit them on the head. I spotted that immediately. We had Visa go upside down, spinning like a bottle top. She was able to survive because the Halo protected her head. Yes, we know Eau Rouge, it's fantastic, it's magical, it's the best corner in the world. There's no point in having a best corner of the world if it's continually soured by the fact that there's deaths and there's accidents. Look at Jack Aitken and Juan Manuel Correa. They have seriously tried to tell us before. Juan Manuel Correa has just been in that Formula 3 race, and 18 months ago, he was in another accident down at the Eau Rouge and Raidillon complex. He's now had to go back through that trauma, seeing it happen 3 times this weekend on his first way back. It is time it changed. Don't lose the corner, modify it. Just make it safer, because otherwise we're going to lose people. And what's stopping it? People say, oh, well, they're just racing drivers. They can go slower. No, because in accidents like this, you've got no control. You're aquaplaning. What's stopping the cars flying off? We already saw yesterday bicycle vistas climbing over the tyre wall. What's to stop it going into the crowd? What's to stop another accident like that? And I'll tell you one thing, people moaning on social media, you're going to not be moaning when it's your wife, son, child, mother, father who is injured in an accident like this. Sort it out, modify it, get your behavior. Have we seriously learned nothing in the past 10 years with all these accidents? FIA, for last thing, FIA, improvement for road safety. It's time they improved motorsport.
Motorsport safety is always such a topic where people do get in that discussion about when are we falling behind in safety? What we saw in the Spa, especially this weekend, another big wreck, I think there has to be discussion of, okay, what can we do to prevent the vehicles from bouncing back on the track? That's the big thing with the tire walls. If Lando Norris had that accident on the first lap, first corner in the wet, and bounced back on the track in front of the field coming up the hill, it could have been really bad. We need to look into what we could do about that. I mean, even if it's just changing something where that straightaway you're not full speed from that first corner up to Rouge and Raidillon, maybe something in between, still keep the corner, but going up to it, full acceleration, but at a slower speed. I think there's plenty of options. One of the big things, of course, when it comes to motorsports, Rouge, Raidillon, that is a corner where, as you said, people around the world love that corner. It's been something that I can remember as a kid that stood out and made it where this track really stood out as a kid because of that corner, the elevation changes. You don't see a whole lot of it, but of course, if there was a new track to have such a corner like this, the runoff room will be massive, and it's just something, an older track, a lot of circumstances, and definitely, of course, if there are any changes to this corner or around the corner, right here on the GRIDnet, we will be reporting on it on Grid tonight, as well as all our social media platforms.
The Formula One summer break has come and gone, but the intensity around Sir Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen's championship battle is still hot and popping. Formula One this weekend at Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. Often intense three weekend run of races with Zandvoort and Monza. Spa's known as a high speed track, and Honda has had the high speed advantage. Max Verstappen started on the pole, but it was George Russell who stole the show in everyone's hearts by putting Williams on the front row. Behind Russell, we have Sir Lewis Hamilton and Daniel Ricciardo in fourth. Mercedes not far behind, so they might have something up their sleeve. If Mercedes were to win tomorrow, would it send a strong statement to Red Bull Honda?
Oh, sure. And, it's saying, we're not done yet, guys. And, we take a look at the start. We take a look at the starting lineup for tomorrow. We know Max Verstappen's on the pole, but George Russell starts second. Nobody saw this coming. Not even me. And Josh would agree with me. That could be Lewis Hamilton's future teammate Max deals with tomorrow. I believe Mercedes is not out of this championship, not one little bit. And I think Mercedes has a good shot, not only to win the drivers' championship with Lewis Hamilton, but overall in the constructor championship, I believe they'll win that too. It's going to be interesting to see how everything turns out tomorrow. Crazy weather conditions I believe, will be happening at Spa, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, I agree with you so much. Nobody could ever have predicted George Russell second on the grid, so much so I jumped up in the commentary box so much and almost knocked my headphones off. I had to hold them on quite tight. I was so sure he was on pole. And then as Megan said, why did Max Verstappen have to come and ruin it? It was almost a dream front row for British fans as well. And not even just British fans as well. Everybody I know loves George Russell because he's the real deal. He's a real title fighter. And he has done so well. I was impressed that both Williams got to Q2. I was impressed that at one point they were both in Q3. And then I was impressed as well with the fact that George Russell managed to stick it on pole position. Hamilton couldn't beat him. And for like 30 seconds or so, we could dream that Russell had got his first pole and for Williams as well. But it wasn't to be. He starts second on the grid, equaling his best ever front row start in Formula One. Unlike what Mark Webber said, he has actually started on the front row. He started second back at the Shakir Grand Prix when he was teammates to Bottas. Oh, definitely. If Mercedes win tomorrow as well for this one, it's going to be absolutely fantastic because ideally we've got Bottas with a 5-place grid penalty. So he's starting 13th on the grid if Norris starts in P10 or P9, if he moves up. If that car is okay, we know Norris is okay. But Bottas is pretty much out of the loop. He's further back down there with the Ferraris, who I generally thought might have a chance this weekend of a podium. So they're out of it. It's weird, but it's already happening, isn't it? We've got Lewis Hamilton is now going to be looking over to that P2 slot and he's going to be asking George Russell to be his wingman. Is this a prediction of 2022, we ask ourselves? The deal seems to have already been done, and what we understand going in the paddock from what I'm talking to is that Russell will be at the seat in 2022. Kimi Raikkonen is going to leave Formula One at the end of this year, and Alfa Romeo are going to say bye-bye to him at the Italian Grand Prix, where it will all be announced. Then what the current chain of events is on the Friday, it'll be announced that Raikkonen's leaving Formula One. The Saturday, it'll be announced that Russell is joining joining Mercedes, and then on the Sunday, it'll be announced that Bottas is joining Raikkonen. So he's joining Giovinazzi in Raikkonen's seat at Alfa Romeo. Sorry if that was confusing. It's been a long day broadcasting. So that's how it's going to go. So Bottas to Alfa Romeo. He's starting tomorrow 13th, roundabout where the Alphas is. I hope he gets used to it. But today, definitely bad day for Mercedes. Great day for George Russell. He secured that seat. If Mercedes win tomorrow, it'll be with George Russell's help, and it'll be Lewis Hamilton winning. But I'm going to say this. It's raining tomorrow. Same levels of rain we've had today. We've seen unbelievable pace. I'm going to go a bold prediction. I think George Russell might actually win a race tomorrow because we've seen Mercedes are nowhere in the dry or the wet this weekend. They're going to need a lot of help. Red Bull can't seem to get their act together whenever it rains. We saw even Verstappen dropping it off at Emilia-Romagna. I'm generally shaking because I think we could see Russell have a win tomorrow. And if he does, it's Arrivederci Valtteri.
I have to agree. I have to completely agree with you, Josh. If George Russell wins tomorrow, you don't think that F1 podium, you don't think everyone in F1 would go absolutely crazy? It would be really good for him because I like your predictions, about the Italian Grand Prix. I believe that's what's all going to happen. Kimi Raikkonen has had a really good tenureship in F1. He is a former world champion. He's known as the Iceman. He has had a lot of success. So if he retires, he has done really good in F1. And I wish him, if it does happen, I wish him Godspeed. And hopefully he'll still enjoy F1 as a fan.
Completely agree with you there. And if George Russell does win tomorrow, you might need a defibrillator in the comms box here for the Grid Network show wrap up, because I think I would have collapsed long before the end of that from screaming.
Yes, yes, as you're saying, Kimi Räikkönen, what a Formula One career that he's had. And if this is his farewell season, I don't think he has nothing to be ashamed of. But if it is farewell, I think Tony Stewart and Ray Everham need to get on the phone and get him an SRX next summer. I think it'll be really fun to see Kimi Räikkönen racing SRX. And George Russell obviously has a ton of momentum coming into this weekend. And after Formula One qualifying, Toto Wolff said Mercedes already decided on who's going to be Lewis Hamilton's teammate next year. And I think we have a pretty good idea who that's going to be, and his name is not Valtteri Bottas. And if George Russell wins the Belgian Grand Prix tomorrow, Mercedes might as well just announce after the race you're going to be Lewis Hamilton's teammate next year. So if it's a really crazy wet race tomorrow, I think anybody can win, and definitely George Russell has to be towards the top of that list. And many thought Lando Norris might steal the pole earlier in qualifying, but he had that hard crash we talked about at Eau Rouge, a wet day of qualifying, and W Series racing tomorrow looks just as wet, even less sun. So it was expected to be a wet race. And if we had to change to intermediate tires, bad news for Mercedes. Mercedes used almost all of their intermediate tires today trying to make it into Q2. So here's the question. Could we see George Russell on the podium if we have a wet weather race, no dry tires, just wet and intermediate tires? And who else can potentially have a big day in the rain?
Besides George Russell, you have to take a look at maybe someone like Daniel Ricciardo has a good shot. So maybe Lewis Hamilton. I think it'll be. I think it'll be either George Russell. I believe top four easily have a shot to win tomorrow at Spa in Belgium.
Sort of strengthens my point, doesn't it? I forgot that Hamilton had used all his intermediate tyres. What Mercedes need to do now is, we know it's going to rain tomorrow. What they need to do is form a little calming circle, just go on a little bit, and then do the rain dance that it absolutely deluges, and they can only use the full wet tyres. Because they've cooked 3 of their 4 intermediates, and they already used their extra set that they had for free practice 3. That's why we saw so much running in the wet weather this morning. The FIA gave them an extra set of wet tyres. So I agree with you, Adam, as well. I think the top 4 have got a great chance of winning the race. I think it's Lewis Hamilton who's got the weakest link opportunity to win the race tomorrow as well, with those intermediate tyre failures. So what's the betting? If it's not good, I don't think it'll be Max Verstappen. I'll be very surprised if it is, because his history here at Spa is about as good as England's is with the European Union. They always seem to clash a lot. But still, I'm very much expecting the fact that we could see Russell up there at the front. But then I've just seen who's in 4th position on the grid. Daniel Ricciardo, somebody who we've said all year long has struggled to get used to his new Mercedes engine with the McLaren car. And Lando's been outshining him. Lando would have had pole position, as you said, Kobe, as well. He would have had it. He was in the best place. They should have stopped it, and they should have just ended it, really, because he should have been on pole position. He had the fastest car out there as well. He was quick in the wet. He was finding the grip. He was fantastic. So, yeah, disappointed about that. But definitely, if there's ever a day that a team need to pick up the pieces, it will be with Danny Ricciardo. If he can score a podium tomorrow, he's pretty much signed the contract for 2022. If he can win a race tomorrow and give McLaren their first win since 2012 in similar conditions back at the Brazilian Grand Prix, then he will de facto become the team number 1 for the next season as well. And also, it's not unusual to see Ricciardo win here. He did it before, 2014, in the Red Bull, in mixed conditions. Definitely up there.
The Formula One season is far from over, and there are close battles besides Hamilton versus Verstappen. The battle for third place between Lando's Ferrari and McLaren are neck and neck, with Ricciardo not scoring points consistently, as we've already said. AlphaTauri, Aston Martin both have podiums not far over, and George Russell finally scored points. Which battle will most likely go down to the final race, in your opinion?
It's obviously going to be the title hunt between Verstappen and Hamilton. That's going to go down to the end. But in terms of the midfield fight, Ferrari and McLaren, they're not done yet. They've both had equally good and equally shocking races. I think Williams are going to be quite strong. They're going to catch Aston Martin quite quickly. They're in a battle with AlphaTauri. So we've got pretty much what we had last year. The top two running away with it, but we've got interest in the midfield again. And that's what I like. Formula One's midfield teams as well are incredibly strong and give us great racing. So I think obviously the Drivers' Championship is going to go to the end, but definitely keep an eye on the Ferrari-McLaren battle, then followed by the AlphaTauris, Aston Martin and Williams, as you just saw as well on the screen. Mixed weather tomorrow. Ferrari hate wet weather. Absolutely hate it as well. So it's going to be good.
I like what you said, Josh, and I have to agree with you. You know, I believe the driver championship will be between Lewis and Max. In the midfield, you know, you have Williams, Ferrari, and McLaren. So I believe that it'll be Ferrari versus Williams versus McLaren in the midfield for the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of exciting battles to follow in the midfield as we conclude the 2021 Formula One season. And other exciting battles are going to be following tonight under the lights at Daytona International Speedway for the Coke Zero Sugar 400. It's the regular season finale for the NASCAR Cup Series, and there's a lot on the line, especially if you're not locked into the playoffs.
And right now is just one driver not locked in the playoffs, Tyler Reddick. He is essentially, he could point his way in if he scores 31 points or more, and a repeat winner or a driver that's not eligible for the playoff wins. If we get a first-time winner for the season and they're eligible for the playoffs, he is out. So everyone that is not in the playoffs is essentially just coming in here with one goal, to win. That's the only way you're going to get in the postseason. Tending to win, quite easily plan on bumping Reddick out of the playoffs with that win or even at the track. And essentially just makes it where everything's on Tyler Reddick. He has to go out there, have a good race, and everybody's going to be following him in the track. When it comes to Tyler Reddick, strategy entering this week and knowing everyone's essentially focusing on what he does. Does he even have a strategy? Because we're in Daytona where it seems this is such a wild card situation.
If I were Tyler Reddick, I would kind of reminds me of a game of No Limit Texas Hold'em poker. You put all your chips in, and you just go out and you try to win. Tyler Reddick needs to win in order to get in to the playoffs. I believe he'll go all out. And as Larry McReynolds would say for the race tonight, reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time, because it's going to be a really crazy race. So for you fans that are watching, I would have some good food, your favorite beverage, a good place to watch the race, because it's going to be intense, crazy, and nobody knows what's going to happen. Not even any of us here at the Grid Network.
Tyler Reddick's strategy for tonight? Just win, baby. Just win. That is the only strategy you have, and you really can't count on just going out there and trying to win stage 1 and stage 2. Yes, you could technically score 20 points in the first 2 stages, and also didn't get caught up in accident and point his way in. But super speedway racing is so unpredictable that you can't count on that happening. You can't always dictate your own destiny, because sometimes you're up front and you get shuffled out of the draft. In DW used to call you get put in the middle, you call that the sucker hole, and you go all the way to the back. So I definitely think Tyler's Reddick strategy is just lick a step, send it, and hope that it sticks, because I believe it was either this year or the year before, Tyler Reddick made a bold move on Kyle Busch and William Byron and end up crashing them out of the race. And I'm sure he wants to be on the other side of the equation this time.
Yeah, Tyler Reddick, that bold move caused a big one last year. Kyle Busch, many others involved. He doesn't want that to happen. He wants to stay up front, no matter what, because as you mentioned, he could win the first 2 stages. He's just then 11 points away from putting in. But it just takes another person that hasn't won this year to go out there, get that win, and it's just going to be essentially a mad dash for the end, up until the end of the race, when we're going to see all sorts of mayhem, I think. And of course, we could see something very different, like the 2021 Daytona 500 this year. The big one could happen early. That happened on lap 14 of the Daytona 500. And that one, when it struck, it took out a lot of big potential favorites to win that race. That's just kind of a scenario where everyone's going to be racing really hard with the only intention of winning. Is this really putting on good racing, or is this more of a lottery? Because it seems like nobody really has control. Nobody has really a good strategy. You're all essentially like in a blender, just all right there next to each other, and just a matter of who survives. Is this really good racing, or is it just too unpredictable?
Well, Joe, NASCAR is entertainment, and this is exactly why Daytona was designed to be the final race before the playoffs, because everybody knows that super speedway racing, restrictor plate racing, it is so unpredictable. So it's really more like a lottery. Yes, we're probably more likely to see a lot of the big teams up front leading, but we can also see a very like some major surprises. Who would have expected Michael McDowell winning the Daytona 500 if it wasn't for that crash? It seemed unlikely McDowell was gonna win that race between the two Penske teammates. It looked like it was gonna be between Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano. Then they had that nasty crash. I believe it might have been 2 laps to go, maybe in the Daytona 500 earlier this year, and then McDowell came through and stole the show. We could certainly see a spoiler pull off an upset like that. Imagine if it McDowell's teammate Anthony Alfredo in at 38, who's had a really difficult rookie season. If he goes out there, wins at Daytona, that would turn the playoff picture upside down, or somebody else who's back there in the points, like a Cole Custer who's had a rough season for Stewart Haas Racing, all their struggles, or even a Ryan Preece who's running an open car right now in the beginning of the season. We didn't even know if Preece was going to run all of the races because of sponsorship woes, and imagine what that would do for his prospects moving forward. So with Daytona being the final race before the playoffs, I certainly think it's quite a lottery. But at the end of the day, we need to remember that this is a show, this is entertainment, and I believe NASCAR believes this is what's going to draw in the viewers.
Like Darrell Waltrip has said, when it comes to Daytona and Talladega, anybody can win this race. If you're the starting grid for tonight, you got a shot to win. It doesn't matter where you start. If we don't know what's going to happen even at the white flag lap, because nobody predicted Michael McDowell to win the 500, like you said, Kobe. We could have, we could have a first-time winner. We could have someone like Kyle Larson, hint, hint, Joe, win the race at Daytona tonight. It's going to be on the edge of your seat kind of show at Daytona, because we don't know what's going to happen. It's like a game of chess or checkers. You got to make the right move at the right time. Otherwise, well, we've seen in the past what could happen. So it's going to be a white knuckle ride at Daytona tonight. And me, I'm looking forward to seeing who wins and everything else.
Daytona, a lot of people are always looking forward to the race. They know it's their best opportunity to get that win. And this year, especially with the playoffs, the picture, that's really everyone's goal, is just to go out there and win. Nobody's point racing for any reason. Big thing, of course, Daytona 500, very similar. It's the first race of the year. Just go out there, try to win the biggest race of the year. So Daytona, I anticipate it's going to be a crazy race. I would be shocked if we only have the 2 stage break cautions. One thing I think we got to look out for today, Bubba Wallace. We saw him the Daytona 500, had a strong car. The Toyotas, they were up towards the front. Until we had some Toyotas like Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, they got in trouble. They were out of the race. So all of a sudden you had a very few Toyotas up towards the front, and they got outnumbered by the Chevrolets, the Fords. Next year, Bubba Wallace, he's going to have a new teammate, Kurt Busch, in that number 45 Toyota with Monster Energy Drink as a sponsor for 2311. Bubba Wallace is a strong car. Denny Hamlin, he is always strong at the super speedways. Could this be the best opportunity for Denny Hamlin or Bubba Wallace to get their win this season right here at Daytona?
Oh yeah, easily. You know, you look at Denny Hamlin. You take a look. He hasn't won this year. You don't think he's going to go out and try his hardest to win tonight? Look at Bubba Wallace. You know, he really hasn't. You know, he has had a few top 10 finishes, but they're honoring Wendell Scott tonight at the Cup race in Daytona. You know, I believe they're going to they're doing special. They're doing something special for him. Wouldn't it be cool to see Bubba Wallace in victory lane? You know, at Daytona. It could very well happen tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised if, well, it does happen.
I certainly think this is an excellent opportunity for Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace to go to victory lane. And we all know how good Denny Hamlin is at Daytona International Speedway and how good of a super speedway racer he is. And I honestly believe that Denny Hamlin is one of the top super speedway racers that we have in NASCAR today. So I think he'll be tough to beat tonight. And Bubba Wallace, we saw how strong he ran in the Daytona 500. If it wasn't for that miscue that happened on pit road, I believe he would have definitely been in contention for the win. I think Bubba is an underrated super speedway racer. He just needs to find a way to channel in his aggression a little bit more because sometimes I feel like he can drive a little bit in over his head and make those mistakes, pushing too hard, throwing some crazy blocks, and sometimes that causes issues for him. And as you know, in the draft, you need to be able to trust your competitors around you, and we've seen time and time again when Bubba make those erratic moves, and then sometimes drivers don't want to work with him because you don't want to be around somebody who may cause an accident. Something else we didn't really talk about. We have a new super speedway package tonight made in reaction to Joey Logano's scary flip at Talladega, which crushed the roof of his car. We don't have the wicker bill on the spoiler anymore. We don't have any aero ducts. And also, we dropped from 510 horsepower to 450 horsepower. That's something I feel like we need to look out for tonight and see if it's going to change the racing. And Bob Parker from Fox Sports said the speeds are probably going to drop 7 to 10 miles per hour, and we're not going to see those big runs that we saw before. But the racing should still be very competitive.
Very competitive. The pack might be large because nobody could really get away. It's definitely going to be a race to watch tonight. The Coca-Cola Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona International Raceway. Another race everyone got to watch for is, of course, MotoGP tomorrow. First race Sunday morning, and with us to discuss MotoGP, we have Josh with us again. British Grand Prix race weekend at Silverstone. Weather looks to be clear, sunny, so no concerns about weather. We've seen Marc Marquez, Fabio Quartararo go down in practice. Both of them got up. Both of them are clear to race. Paul Espargaro on the pole for tomorrow's race. Fabio Quartararo third. Pecco Bagnaia second. And Marc Marquez, he is also in the top 10. So my first question for you, Josh. Honda, are they capable of winning the race tomorrow?
If you said to me last year, could Honda win a race without Marc Marquez, I would have said no. This year, yeah, I think they could. I'm generally astounded by Paul Espargaro, who was always coming to the main LCR lineup as well for this year. He had that scary accident, as you said, a couple of days ago in practice, so did Marc Marquez. But honestly, Paul Espargaro on pole position on a Honda, it's fantastic. Finally, they've got somebody who's up there with Danny Pedrosa as a good rider in that car, in that bike as well. But what a great session it was as well for qualifying. I came off air just before talking to you here on Grid Network. And I thought it was actually Johan Martin on pole position. I'm wrong. And it's Paul Espargaro with his lap time being deleted. So, yeah, pole, a definite surprise to take pole. But he has been slowly getting faster and faster throughout the season. So it was always going to come. And definitely with Marc Marquez, that accident he had yesterday in practice at over 175 miles an hour going into Maggots and Beckett's, flying off the motorcycle. He had sand in his eyes as well, and he actually went to hospital in between FP1 and FP2 and had his eyes cleaned out just so he had clear visibility. That man is a Terminator. He's fantastic. He has no pain threshold. Absolutely. And he's come back stronger than ever. So, yeah, I would not write off it being a Honda 1-2 tomorrow for the factory Repsols because I think Mark's going to be right up there, but I think Pole's going to have a great start. Don't count out the Brits either. Jake Dixon and Carl Crutchlow looking quite good as well up there. And it's just going to be a fantastic one. So, yeah, Honda definitely capable of winning this race, and it will be with Pol Espargaro, not Marc Marquez.
Yeah. Pol Espargaro, Honda, they were just looking phenomenal today. Definitely they showing they got the speed. And tomorrow, I think it's going to be, can the tires hold up? Because I think with that sunny weather, tire management will be the big thing. And for the big picture as well, too, Pecco Bagnaia, second in the points, second in the race tomorrow. He is 47 points behind Quartararo. So entering this race, is Pecco really just going out there, just try to get the win, not even worry about Fabio Quartararo? Because he seems too far away to even be thinking about points race and a championship. Just go out there, focus on the race.
We've had this before with the championship being so escaped into the distance with Marquez, and then there was all that controversy a couple of years ago, and it came down to the last race again with Dovizioso and him. So I would say Bagnaia's attitude coming into this race is the fact that anything can happen. The biggest turning point for him, and still it would be in his mind, is when he threw it down the road at Mugello and lost out that position. So he's got another chance tomorrow. He's got Quartararo just alongside him as well. Turn 1 is crucial because the way the grid's lined up, actually, Pol Espargaro will be on the outside for Copse Corner, and Bagnaia will be in the middle with Quartararo on the inside lines. Quartararo's actually got the best turn-in point to Copse Corner, which is turn 1 on the MotoGP circuit, because we don't use the big wing at the moment as well. That's being retrofitted to host all of the MotoGP bikes for next season, I think. So we're still in the national pits. So Quartararo's definitely got a fantastic opportunity tomorrow to sneak up the inside and extend his championship lead. Bagnaia will be mindful of that, and he will just be going out there to rack up the points and see where he can get. I don't think he's got the title in his mind. But now we've got the championship nailed down with how many rounds we're going to have. Another race at Misano, another race at Aragon, replacing the two that have dropped off of Japan and Sepang in Malaysia. Definitely, I don't think until Aragon he will be even thinking about the title hopes. But is it going to be too late by then? Quartararo has run away with it. And I did say a couple of weeks ago, I expected Quartararo to keep a hold of this championship. And if he lost it, I will be saying bye-bye to him.
Yeah, Quartararo, it seems like it's starting to become a bit of a runaway championship. He is looking really good. And, of course, MotoGP is going to be very exciting tomorrow. And, of course, that's going to be one of the many races in the grid ranking. Here are the grid ranking coming into the weekend. So definitely with Formula One, MotoGP, NASCAR, those are the series running. IndyCar, they are off. And, of course, we're going to have some exciting information about IndyCar's next upcoming race in Portland. But of course, now it's time for the most exciting part for a lot of our viewers: pick a winner.
That's right, Joe. And there's 3 really good races this weekend. We take a look at the updated standings. Joe is first, I'm second, Cody is third, Matt White is fourth, and Ben Schneider is fifth. We're going to start with F1 at Spa-Francorchamps. I'm going to start with you, Josh. Who finds a way around the Ardennes Forest and takes the checkered flag tomorrow morning at Spa?
Oh, as if you even needed to ask. It's going to be George Russell, isn't it? If it's wet weather, we already know that the Mercedes have got no intermediates left. We know that Verstappen is iffy with this circuit as well, but he's got all his home supporters here as well. But it's Verstappen's home race next week. He can win that one. George Russell, if it's a wet weather race like today, that Williams has just got something right with it. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to get on the blower tonight and have a look. But honestly, George Russell, if it's wet tomorrow, best chance to win the race.
Before I say my Formula One pick a winner, I just wanted to say what a thrilling ending to the NASCAR Xfinity Series race between Colic Racing teammates. They were 3 wide coming into NASCAR 3 and 4, And then coming to the line in a photo finish, Justin Haley just edged out AJ Allmendinger for the win at the World Center of Racing. So another restrictor plate win for Justin Haley. Really exciting finish today at Daytona. And as for Formula One, I'm also gonna try to catch up with Joe, make a really funky pick since I think it's gonna be a funky race. I'm gonna join you, Josh. I think George Russell is gonna pull off the ultimate upset and go to victory lane for Williams and stand on the top step of the podium. So and as soon as George Russell wins the race, I want to see Toto Wolff go up there and be like, "You're gonna be Lewis Hamilton's teammate next year."
I'm going to make it unanimous because I think George Russell can win too. And if Toto Wolff doesn't sign George Russell after his win tomorrow, there's something wrong. I'm going with George Russell in a Williams in the rain at Spa.
Well, I'm going to be the bad news, and it's not going to be anonymous George Russell winning the race.
Oh,
I'm going to go with somebody else. I'm going to go with Max Verstappen. He has improved a lot this year. We've seen him go off the track earlier this weekend, but that's the one thing he already done that. He knows where the limits are, and with the wet weather conditions today, he got the pole. I feel he's going to be in a good spot, whether it's the stand and start, he has good starts, or even a safety car start, considering it could be really wet weather. I think he has the best shot at winning.
Now we head off to Silverstone for the MotoGP British Grand Prix. Start with you again, Josh. Who claims the victory at Silverstone?
In my tweet, I said it should be Jack Miller, and I stand by that because even though what I said about Paul Espargaro, if that's a great strategy for Honda, if they can get it right, Jack Miller has been on it all weekend long, and he has been in it, and he is smiling. Do you know why he's smiling in the paddock? He's got one of his best mates back, Kyle Crutchlow, on the factory M1 Yamaha this weekend as well. The two best buds as well, Maverick and Goose, all out there. Well, let's not speak about Maverick, shall we? I wonder which one's Goose. We definitely know that Cal's Maverick, don't we? No, I'm definitely going for Jack Miller to win the British Grand Prix tomorrow in front of the British fans as well. The British fans love him. Who doesn't love Jack Miller? He is an absolute monster on that Ducati, and he has just got something around this circuit. But yeah, if not, Paul.
Yeah, the crowd would definitely erupt if Jack Miller wins at Silverstone, but I'm gonna go with Marc Marquez to win the race.
I'm going, Josh. I'm going with Jack Miller on a Ducati to win the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
And with that, I'm going to go with Fabio Quartararo, third. That bike overall is good. I see him getting the win and continuing his championship march.
Now we go to a wild card. The Coke Zero Sugar 400 from Daytona. Josh, I'll start with you. Who finds a way to, at the end, claim the checkered flag at a wild and crazy race at Daytona?
Daytona is one of the legendary circuits for NASCAR as well, but we're not here for the 500. It's a different type of race. It's the last one before, as you say, you go into the final group stages as well, and the playoffs as well. Such a mighty, mighty one for playoffs as well. I'm going to actually go with Kyle Larson because even though he starts in pole position, it's like picking Max Verstappen to win tomorrow. Joe, I think the pole sitter at Daytona actually has a good spot when we're not racing there for the 500. It seems to change it around a little bit. As well. So yeah, I'm going Kyle Larson to win tomorrow.
And I'm gonna go with one of the drivers who hasn't won this year, but locked in the playoffs. I think Denny Hamlin, today's top plate racer, in my opinion, is gonna get it done tonight under the lights in Daytona, or maybe tomorrow afternoon because we have quite a bit of rain in the forecast in Daytona. While Formula One at Spa is able to race in the rain, NASCAR cannot race on super speedways in the rain. So we could get in this race tonight, or very well could drift into tomorrow.
That's two really good picks, but for me, I'm going to have to go and say, I'm going to go and say that Tyler Reddick, yes, Tyler Reddick, he finds a way around his teammate, Austin Dillon, and the other Chevy drivers and takes that last playoff spot and wins under the lights or maybe in the bright sun at Daytona.
And for me, I'm going with a Chevrolet driver, but it's not a Rick Hendrick driver. So you all know I'm not going with Kyle Larson for the first time I think since Bristol Dirt that I haven't gone with Kyle Larson, I'm going to go with a surprise pick. I'm going with Eric Jones. He got his first career win at Daytona. In the Daytona 500, he was moving up, but he got caught up in that lap 14 crash. That 43 car, we've seen Bubba Wallace make magic in that. That 43 car, same crew chief as last year. You got Eric Jones. They're back together. Second attempt at Daytona. I think we're going to see a surprise winner, and they're going to be in the playoffs.
We're now at the 50-month mark with Grid Network being on the air. We're very excited to bring you coverage of the NTT IndyCar Series Grand Prix of Portland, September 10th through 12th. From Portland International Raceway, Joe Samniego is going to be reporting from the track on site and introducing you to the Rose City, Portland. We encourage you to subscribe to Grid Network on YouTube and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of our live Portland coverage. We have a playlist of past Portland Grand Prix kart and IndyCar races, so be sure you check that out, and we're going to have some special programming ahead here on Grid Network.
And we encourage everyone to be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Share, especially with your friends that enjoy motorsports. Grid Network, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Visit gridranking.com. There you can see all our social media presence. Encourage you to follow that, including Pick a Winner every Wednesday is posted on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter as well. Big thank you to our Patreon subscribers, Colin, Mark, Michelle, keeping us on the air and allowing us to go into Portland International Raceway with media credentials. Definitely a very exciting weekend for everyone here at the Grid Network. And be sure to visit Pablo's, longtime sponsor of the Grid Network here. 10% discount for being a Grid Network viewer and $5 that you could use in free stock by going to public.com. Use the referral code GRIDNET. Then you can start investing. Great tools there to start investing, learning the stock markets and how it works, and definitely great opportunity to make new friends, engage with other investors in the stock market. Is essentially the stock market's social media homepage. We are out of time. We want to thank Daniel Zeri for joining us earlier today from Racer Girls Behind the Helmet for W Series. Joshua Brush, I know you got a lot of racing tomorrow. Adam Lemeries and Kobe Lambis from the Podium Finish. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDNET for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.